Hi, I'm Rob. It's garage time. Off we go then. Let's all say hello to Biohazard Rob. Hey everybody, welcome to the garage. It's your old pal Rob. I would say keep your social distancing, but I'm pretty sure that because I'm on this side of the camera and you're on that side of the screen, we can affect social distancing pretty effectively. And that's because 2 days ago, I tested positive for COVID. And yeah, I feel pretty wiped out. Be that as it may, I did go to that Tony's Track Day event on the 25th of September, and I had a good time until I didn't. And it went really well until it didn't. But I'm going to give you the story about it. So, excuse me. So anyway, I left that morning. I didn't leave nearly as early as I did for the August 14th one, because I'd learned that you don't have to get to tech inspection right at 7 o'clock. I mean, it goes throughout the morning for a couple hours. So you can get there and, you know, you can kind of relax a little bit before you go into it. So I got there close to 7 o'clock, but it had rained all that weekend, and not just a little bit. It rained pretty hard and steadily for a couple of days. And I did the same thing that I did on the August 14th. I went to the Monday session. Now, I've ridden in the rain before. I've ridden in the rain a lot. But it always sucks. And it had been a long time since I'd ridden in the rain on the street. And it was really not a lot of fun getting there. I drove through 2 frickin' lakes. I did almost get killed from some knucklehead in an SUV who... So anyway, after riding through a couple of lakes and almost getting creamed, I got to the track and I had rented a garage space. It was great. My second Tony's Track Day here. It's September 25th, 2023. I rented garage space today because it is pouring out. Not the most pleasant day. Yeah, so I rode here in the rain. I'm going to ride the track in the rain. It's going to be great. Everyone there, of course, as before, was friendly and helpful. I was able to chat with a few people I had seen at the previous one, and again, they were friendly and helpful. The staff, Kerry and Paul, and the instructors, Adam and Chris and Tim and Sean, were all, of course, welcoming. And, you know, when I got there, it was great. I skipped the newbie riders meeting because I had to go do some stuff to the VidPill, and I mounted the cameras and I safety wired them and took the mirrors off and taped over the brake light, all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And then we went out for the first session at 9:45, and luckily, because I got to the grid dead ass last, I wound up getting an instructor all to myself. The instructor, Pete, pulled out ahead of me, I pulled out behind him, and for the whole 15 minutes, I got a personal class in the line, showing me a little bit of hanging off. And you know, I got to follow him closely, which he mentioned that he liked. And so it was good. I had a really good time. So then I went out for the 10:45 session and I had a really good time. There were a couple places where it was really slippery and the back end of the bike got a little excitable, shall we say. The back of the bike kind of forgot where it was going. Now, I got to mention that in the riders meeting, what the TTD guys had done was separate those of us on street tires from those of us on racing rain tires. During the Sunday session, a whole bunch of riders had fallen. Somebody told me 8, somebody told me a dozen, because the groups are mixed. There were people on rain tires and with people on street tires, and the people on street tires are trying to keep up with the people on rain tires, and down they went. So I was on my street tires that were on this thing, and so we went into the 10:45 session, and I felt really good. And like I said, there were a couple places where the back end kind of forgot where it was going. You know, I kept it together, and I went around the track, and it, you know, dealing with those little slides helped my confidence. Then I got into the 11:45 session, and it was like I couldn't focus, and my brain fell apart. I did not have as good a time. I felt really tentative on the tires. Perhaps the Vitpillen was trying to clue me in or trying to foreshadow events. At any rate, so I thought about it. I talked to some of the instructors. One of the things I did was I talked to the instructor, Adam Bagden, about hanging off because I haven't done a lot of it. It seems unnatural to me. It felt weird. But I went into my 12:45 session, and it was like all of a sudden I felt really good. Everything felt tight. You know, I felt like I had a better seat of the pants and handlebar metric, or I was able to feel the bike on the road better. I was able to feel the grip of the tires. I was having a really good session. Rain is the great equalizer, so my little 40 horsepower Vitpillen, there were bikes, you know, a couple of Ducatis and some 4-bangers and other bikes that in the dry would have just driven away from me. And I was passing them, and I was catching them. I was passing them on the outside. I was having a really good time until... Now, some of you who are my Facebook friends and who belong to the Tony's Track Day Facebook page will have already seen this segment of video. But I know that there are people who watch my channel and who will have not seen it. So here it is. Ouch! Yeah, throwing F-bombs. It didn't feel good. I got chucked off the high side of the bike. I'm not sure exactly how I landed first, although there is a big fat crack in the back of my helmet, so that's no good anymore. But I remember sliding down the track on my face, and then I wound up, you can't see it anymore because it's a month later, but I wound up with a big blister right here on my hand from pressing on the track as I was sliding to flip myself back over onto my back. It was a solid thumping, and it did not feel good. I feel fine now a month later. Yep, I went to the track on a rainy day and I crashed. So I thought, why don't we go over there to the Vitpillen and I'll grab a handheld and we'll take an inventory of what got damaged, what I got to fix, and we'll talk about my plans for the motorcycle. Yeah, so the damage to the Vitpillen is both large and small. Actually, it's not that large. It's mostly small. You saw it slam down heavily on the left-hand side. And starting at the rear of the bike, some road rash on the passenger grab handle, some road rash on the passenger foot peg, a missing rider's foot peg. Surprisingly, the shift lever didn't take that much of a beating. It looks like it might be bent in a little bit, but not enough to make it unworkable. It works great. Road rash on the side stand. There's more with the side stand. We'll get to that in a moment. And dirt on the frame tubes from sliding down the track. Now, when I started doing these track days, I thought for sure that if I crashed, the radiator was going to get mangled, but as you can see, nothing. And then up here, the left side handlebar is bent, and the headlight control pod is pretty mangled, ground away. It still works though, and the clutch lever is damaged. The rain and debris cover is torn. The lever itself is bent down, although it still works. And then the turn signal got mangled. Surprisingly, the bulb did not get broken, although it did get jammed into the turn signal housing so far that I can't get it out, and it most likely pushed the contacts in and away from the bulb because it doesn't work anymore. Excuse me. There's a little bit of road rash on the bodywork, but that just adds character. Back there at the garages, two of the instructors, I want to say Adam and Chris, but it could have been Sean and somebody else. I'll have to ask and find out. Two of them swarmed the bike trying to get it back into a rideable condition. The biggest problem was the fact that the side stand got bent. Or I shouldn't say the side stand got bent, but the side stand mount right here where the side stand attaches is bent, and the side stand is pushed in. And because of that, the side stand sensor doesn't align anymore. And so the bike thinks that the side stand is down. Here, we'll turn it on. And road. Okay. Make sure it's a neutral. Yeah. There you can see side stand down. Starts right up as though nothing happened. But you put the side stand up. And as you can see, it still thinks the side stand is down. So if I pull the clutch and put it in gear, boom. it dies. We don't like that. We'll shove this down. And the reason that that's happening, I will illustrate it, but what I'm going to have to do is get out the good old borescope so you can see what's going on up in there. So here we are. 6, I'm still wearing my pajamas. Let's turn this on. Okay, there's the side stand and my Diet Coke, which doesn't need to be in the shot. There we have the side stand, right? Okay, we go up the side stand, and there, right there, you see that little brass nut. Whoops. You see that little brass nut, and you see the dark gray center of the nut. That, my friends, is the magnetic sensor for the Vitpillen side stand shutoff. That little magnetic nut is supposed to contact a magnetic sensor on the bike. And that magnetic sensor is, let's get it in there, is right there. You see that gray block? That is the magnetic sensor that senses the magnetic field of the nut. Put the side stand up. Boom. And the borescope goes in. Whoops. Yeah, let's get that in there. As you can see, the magnetic nut no longer contacts the magnetic sensor. So how are we going to fix that, you might wonder? There is a workaround, and I'll show you what that is. What I have here in my hand from K&G Magnetics are a set of neodymium bar magnets. Neodymium magnets are the most powerful magnets you can buy, that you can obtain, and trust me, these things are brutal. On the packaging it says, don't get your hands in between the magnets, because you will pinch your fingers. And you will pinch them badly enough that they will bleed. Ask me how I know. Let's see if I can get one of these bars off of here. I'm telling you, these things are brutal. So, come on. Damn it. These things are ridiculously hard to get apart. Ow, 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 ow. Got me, sort of. There we go. There's one. So let's take this down underneath and I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right. There's the side stand. We bring it up. There is the magnetic sensor right there. So I take my neodymium magnet and we want it to be on the sensor. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that's on the sensor right there. As you can see, I've got the neodymium magnet touching the sensor. Whoops. Turn it back on. We're not going to run it this time, though. Road. And... yep, there we go. But if we pull the magnet out of there, there it is. Pull the magnet out. Side stand is down. Okay, very good. So the next thing that I've got to do is check the front wheel to make sure it didn't get bent in that crash. So I've got my dial indicator set up on the edge of the rim. Let's carefully rotate the tire, slowly, and see what we got. Yeah, carefully. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's good. Okay. There we go. There's 50 thousandths. There's 60 thousandths. And it's coming back. Oh, good. Coming back to Coming back to 0. Let's do it again. I can feel it loosening up, actually. There we go. There's 60. So, no. Well, so I think we have determined that axial runout as measured at the rim is 60 thousandths. Let's take a gander in the service manual right here and see what that has to say. Let's see. Change our wiring harness, battery, wheels. Rim runout, page 92. Whoop, I just went past it. 92. Okay, there's the brake discs. Okay, lateral runout outside of the rim joint, 71 thousandths. So, I'll show you right there. 71 thousandths. So we're good. This wheel is within spec. I mean, it could be straighter, but I'm not going to bother taking it off to send it to a shop to have it tweaked. The next thing I got to do is cobble together a way for the side stand sensor to read a magnet. And I have a couple ideas, but that's going to be for another scene. Oh my God. COVID sucks. Hey everybody, as you can see, it's been a while since the last video, and that is because I finished the floors and firewall in the Jag Special. But today we're going to get started on repairing the damage to the VIT pillon that happened because of the crash you just witnessed. And the first thing that we got to do is make this thing run in gear. And so what I'm going to do is pull off the side stand sensor from its mounting point right here on the side stand mount. If you look right here, this little metal bracket right here is a protective cover for the side stand sensor. And these two Phillips heads, there's one, I don't know if you can see it, I'll point to it. There's one there. And then there's another one right there. It's a little hard to see because it's right behind the shift lever. If I undo those two screws, I will be able to get the side stand sensor off. But the first thing that I got to do is pull the shift lever off of there. So let's grab ourselves a 10 millimeter and away we go. There's that. I know you can't really see me unthreading the bolt, can you? But I got to pull the bolt all the way out so that I can get the shift lever off of the shift shaft. Pull that off of there. There we go, there's that. Get out the damn way. And there, my friends, right here is, right there, this little business is, ta-da, the side stand sensor. And right here is the part that the magnet has to touch. I am going to do two different experiments. You go here. There. Turn the key on. Side stand down. We don't like that. So we go... come on. Side stand down. Fuel range. Side stand down. Fuel range. Side stand down. Come on. There it is. Nope. Oh, it has to be on a specific side. Oh, does it now? Aha. Well, what do you know? Well, we have made an important discovery. Apparently, that sensor needs to see a specific polarity. Turn it on again. Hey everybody, we are out in the garage. It's another day. It's bright. I don't know if you can see. It's sunny out. It's sunny and blue skies. Unlike the last several days. Unlike the last 10 days, I think. So I got the sensor out and we did some experimentation with magnets and I made an important discovery. The discovery that I have made is that I can take a larger piece of neodymium and I can place it on the side of the sensor, like so, and it shows fuel range, which means that the motorcycle thinks that the side stand is up. And I can both put it on this top surface or the bottom surface. And the sensor thinks that the side stand is up. And that makes life easy for me because this longer area right here will be a whole lot nicer to glue the neodymium to than just this little square end. So here's what we can do. Let us just temporarily zip tie this thing in place onto the sensor and then fire the bike up and cycle it through its gears. Let's go get ourselves a zip tie and run this experiment. Here we go. Oh, and the other thing that I'm going to do is turn the heater back on because it's frickin' freezing out here. This is a bit of foreshadowing right here. One of the other discoveries that I made, outside of the fact that I can put the magnet on the side of the sensor and have it work, is that the sensor itself seems to be polarity sensitive. I've marked the magnet, I have arced the magnet, I've marked the magnet with a small marking to indicate the top and which way it should point. So the arrow shows me that it's the top and it should point out to the end of the sensor. We'll turn the bike on. Again, wait until it thinks about things for a minute. Okay, side stand down. Take this glove off so you can see my hand, even though it's about 4 degrees out here right now. Yeah, there's my arrow. It's on the top and it's pointing out, so I place the magnet on there. And fuel range. So I take it off, side stand down. Now I take the magnet and I turn it over and I put it in and side stand remains down. I turn it to the correct side and point it in with the arrow inward and oh, fuel range, how about that? Cool. I have my zip tie and we will hold that in place, Put it around the sensor and then give it a zip. Yeah. There. Shove it in. Ick. The sensor is covered with what would otherwise be known as chain lube. We will snip the excess off because that's a thing we can do. There we go. Put you over here. Well, actually what we'll do is we'll the magnet. Yep. Pull in the clutch. I do know that it's in neutral, and there we go. Pull in the clutch, put it into gear. Let the clutch out. Look at that, will ya? It works. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. And top gear, or sixth. Cool. 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And off. It worked. Okay, I have figured out the repair. Now what I got to do is take a bunch of this stuff apart, because what I want to do is take the sensor and drag it up through. I don't want to put it on the exhaust pipe down there. Drag it up through there and then zip tie it to this frame tube right here. I think that will work out nicely. Access to the side stand sensor and cable is blocked by the front sprocket and drive chain, so the left side foot peg bracket and sprocket cover have to come off. Also, I'm pretty sure that track bikes don't need passenger pegs, so 2 bolts later, bye-bye. The foot peg bracket is held in place with 2 10mm bolts on the bottom and the 14mm swing arm pivot nut on top. The 10mm bolt on the front of the bracket goes all the way through the chassis to the other side. Spinning it with the impact driver makes it easier to pull out. The bottom front chain guide and spacer block are behind the foot peg bracket. The chain guide falls out when you pull the bracket off. There it goes. The chain guide, covered in chain lube. The foot peg bracket has a threaded adjustable bushing, which is used to make sure that the swing arm bearings have the correct preload when the pivot nut is tightened. There's a cable clip attached to the spacer block which locates the sensor cable. Because the sensor is moving up higher in the chassis and the cable is getting rerouted, the clip is getting tossed. And there's the spacer block. There goes the countershaft cover. The sensor cable clip. You can get the front sprocket and chain off the countershaft without loosening the chain, but it makes life a whole lot easier if you do. So I'm backing the adjusters off as far as I can. And then loosening the axle all the way. and then shoving the rear wheel forward as far as it will go. The front sprocket has a toothed lock washer which matches the splines on the countershaft. The lock washer teeth fit into a groove on the countershaft, and then the washer is held in place by 2 bolts. So pull the bolts, rotate the lock washer so that the teeth are in the splines, and pry it off because chain lube is really sticky. Then just grab the front sprocket and pull. Whether or not you let the front sprocket roll away across the garage floor is up to you. Now comes the easy part. The ritualized repositioning of the side stand sensor and cable. The sprocket and chain plop right back on easy peasy because you did have the foresight to loosen the chain before. The lock washer goes back on, gets rotated in its groove so that the teeth are behind the splines, and after cleaning off the threads with some CRC, brake clean to the uninitiated, the bolts get a couple drops of blue Loctite. Next. Brake clean. Well, we have now, in fact, prepared this thing for the ritualized epoxying of the neodymium magnet to the sensor. And we've marked the magnet so that we know which side goes out. Let us now go mix up some JB weld. Et voilà ici. Cool. There we go. That looks good. We want to gloop it up everywhere. Man. And let's make sure that this thing is on there correctly. Road. Fuel range, yay! Cool. And then we will, in fact, clamp it on there. There. That looks good. There we go. Yay. The foot peg bracket is that, and this I happen to know goes on like that, and this goes on like that. And where's my other big bolt? There it is. Yeah. Okay, so now we take a look in there. We can see the bolt hole. In you go. go. Here, I'm adjusting the threaded bushing into contact with the swing arm bearing. The hex washer has to go on the outside of the bushing. Otherwise, when you're torquing the nut, friction will cause the swing arm nut to grab and over-tighten the bushing. There we go. There. Okay. It's torque time! This is 36 foot-pounds right here. And we need that there as well. Good. The other one gets tightened to 30, 32 and a half. 32 and a half. Let's step into the, there we go. Yeah. Let's grab the service manual. Sent to me from a very pleasant gentleman in Tennessee. Of course, this is for a 2019 Vitpillen 401, which is fundamentally the same as this thing. Let's see. Okay, so number 4, a 14 by 1.5 goes to 100 Newton meters, 73.8 pounds-feet. Okay. Set this to 74 foot-pounds because there's no such thing as 73.8 on this torque wrench. 74 foot-pounds. Yay. The breaker bar goes on this side. And you go on this side. Come on. Good. There we go. I cut back the strengthening webs on the modified side stand sensor in order to add a layer of self-fusing silicone tape over the magnet and epoxy joint. Since the sensor isn't going to have the side stand trigger magnet banging into it anymore, the strengthening webs aren't needed. Then I added a radius to the inside of the sensor bolt bosses so that it would sit against the frame tube more securely. The self-fusing silicone tape only fuses to itself, and then only after you stretch it a bit. Once it's wrapped, the only way it's coming off is by cutting. And that, right, my friends, is a good installation. I'm going to put some of this on there. That's what we're going to do to give this tube some grip. Yeah. Now we take a piece of heater hose and we just kind of shove it on there as an extra protection. I bet it's lunchtime. That, and then more zip ties. And then, because it is a race bike, safety wire. Ow, stop stabbing me. Grab both wires. There we go. Go. Nice. Cut it off and bend you over. Let's do a second one because we really don't want that thing falling off of there, do we? No, we do not. Okay. It's right there. Okay, so that's good. Now, let's put a battery in CAMBOT 7 and move on to replacing the busted left side rider's foot peg. I did the repair the simplest and cheapest way possible, CBMMA of course, by moving the gently damaged passenger foot peg to the rider position. That, this. There we go. Let's take this one over to the vise and take this one apart. Make life a little easy on myself. Beep, beep, beep. 46%. Yeah. And now, the struggle begins. Here's our rear foot peg. It's got these little ball spring detents in it. And when you pull it out of the rear foot peg bracket, it's got these little plastic plates that are designed to interact with the ball detent, like so. So there's one is flipped out, and then when it flips out, it goes like that, and that holds it in place. That's not like the rider's foot peg. The rider's foot peg has this spring, like so, which goes in here. You gotta kind of force it in a bit. There's a hook that goes on that side, and then there is, in fact, a tiny hole right there. And so, okay, let's try it this way. Let's try it this way. There's that hole right there. Oh, that looks good. Yeah. We put the pin through that hole. There. Hey, look at that. Oh, what do you know? I pronounce you fixed. Hey, how about that? Done. There. Hey, everybody. I am now going to take this thing for a test drive. It's not registered, so I'm not going very far. I'm just going to do the usual up and down the home row. And I've had to get a little creative with the side stand because, you know, it doesn't have one. Off we go then. Hey Tim, how you doing? Yay! Yeah, we had a couple of enjoyable full throttle squirts on this thing. You go good, you run good. The crash really didn't hurt it that much. Yeah, there's a bunch more work to do, and that work is both reparative and what would count as modifications for track duty. But I count this as a success. So as always, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you around the channel. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my daddy, he raced stock cars a long, long time ago at New England's fastest quarter mile, doing old Westboro Road. He and Mom would rally around in their MGTD, but they bought a Porsche 356 to you, my mom and me. I was raised by gearheads, this apple fell not far from under daddy's tutelage, messing around with cars. Fuck, I crashed.